Hey folks, Valentin the Mad here, and today we'll be looking at the gore effects in Evil Dead the game. Let's get right into it and see what we have. When it comes to big mutilation, you have 2 points of amputation for each limb. The head can be removed. And you also have guts. On shots or melee hits in the stomach area, you'll see this pop out. Some of it will also dangle around, which is quite nice. It's basically a modern version of what we had in the first Soldier of Fortune game, and I think it's really cool. The key feature, however, in the gore system is the multi-layer damage. So, on non-dismembering hits, you'll see a layer peeled off from the character, which will reveal flesh and bones in some cases. It will appear of course at the point of impact, and you also have blood splatter around the wound to smoothen the transition. I wasn't sure what the game would have for non-dismembering damage, and the multi-layer system looking this nice was a very pleasant surprise. However, there are issues. Some finishers have no body damage. It's actually a thing I noticed in the pre-release videos, and that's why I expected the body damage to be really bad, but it's only sometimes the case. Hair is unaffected. You can peel the whole face off, yet the character will keep the often very nice 80s style hair. The damage area is way too big. The hole for a pistol or rifle wound is very oversized. The response for a single shotgun blast is just ridiculous. And you get the oversized hole for melee impacts as well, even if it was a whack with a shovel. Here's what a few whacks can do. And, faces aside, the definition of what the bottom layer is varies to some degree between characters. So, on some characters, the bottom layer really is bone. On other ones, it's kind of a mix between flesh and a few bone spots. So I thought, if you shoot again the flesh area, you'll be able to reveal the bone below it, which would make fights with the bullet spongy characters more satisfying and responsive, but as you can see, that isn't the case. And, on some characters, on some parts of the body, the multi-layer response is a flesh overlay on clothes. Despite those, it is a cool system that would deliver very satisfying feedback in combat. Not as dynamic as my initial impression was, but definitely exceptional stuff. Should also be mentioned that you have characters get covered in blood, players and enemies. Seems like there's at least a front and back distinction, which is nice. As for the environment aspect, first of all, an aftermath is almost non-existent. Characters either start rotting away a few seconds after they're ragdolled, and you have those guys that just explode into a bloodstain. So, unless you're playing in single player and you manage to activate camera mode in time, you can't really have a good look. As for the spilling itself, it's very inconsistent. In theory, you have stains on impacts, and sometimes the result really can be very nice. However, much more often the environment will be clean, with no stains at all. And of course, you do have the instances where blood is consistently splashing into nowhere. When it comes to animations, you have very nice ones on the initial impact. On death, the character just ragdolls. But there are finisher moves, and those are quite cool. You have several finishers for every weapon. And you have finishers even if you are unarmed. They are very nicely animated, and generally, I like those quite a lot. There is also this instance with the character ripping their arm off and coming at you with it, which is pretty amusing. What I don't really like is the ragdolling on any kill that wasn't a finisher. What you have is a simple ragdoll. It's not really bad and floaty, but it's not great either. The game really would have benefited from a Left 4 Dead-like functionality. Nice noisy animations based on where the finishing hit was, followed by a ragdoll. A feature like that can make a huge difference, and it's very notably lacking here. There is one more issue that I have to mention: the health bars and numbers popping up on hits. Now, you can debate whether this much UI in general is needed, and whether it could have been done in some other way to make it less intrusive. I really like the environments, and having all of that clutter on the screen really does somewhat pull you out of the experience. However, one thing that absolutely should have been in is an option to disable the health bars and numbers popping up. It's not the kind of information that is absolutely critical and crucial to gameplay that should be there at all times, and really, there is no excuse not to have that config. The most important thing for delivering a responsive experience is at least a decent job in every aspect. You can see the importance of that here. The body damage is exceptional, the animation responses are almost there, but the environment aspect is basically a fail. So, I can't recommend it for a responsive experience, but I do appreciate the very cool results you can get with the multiplayer system. That is it for today. Do let me know how you feel in the comment section, and if you enjoyed the video, subscribe and share it around. And consider supporting the channel on Patreon. For $1 a month you get these videos a week early, you get the interviews a week early, and you help out the channel. So a big thank you to all the Patreon members, and consider joining as well. Also, if you like the music you hear in the intro, outro, and in the background, the YouTube and Spotify playlists are in the description. Until next time!